I think we will move from smiling Mr. Draghi to a more stern Mrs. Yellen, I'm sorry to say.
So Patrizio, starting off looking at the four persons behind the main central banks, we've seen some moves that have affected the currencies. Can you tell us a bit about these market moves?
Okay, yeah, the last 2 weeks have been quite eventful, really. I mean, there's lots of action with different families in a TV serial or saga or whatever, It's been quite a lot of action. It started, there was a big surprise 2 weeks ago with Bank of Japan introducing negative interest rates. And that was supposed to push the yen down. That was supposed to be good for investors, for markets, and actually it bombed. I mean, markets reacted very negatively to it. So that was a kind of bad move, so to speak. And then we had the Fed's chief, Mrs. Yellen, who was rather on the stern side, rather hawkish side, saying, okay, there's a lot of turmoil in the markets, but we stick to our course, we will normalize rates and everything. So it was also a bit of kind of cold water, on the market. But then, we had some positive reactions in China after a declaration by the central bank governor on keeping the currency, the renminbi stable. That was well received. And we had, of course, I would say, Mr. Draghi, who kind of magician, always finding new tricks. And he made a few statements or alluded to problems with banks, and this was interpreted as the ECB would be more easy on non-performing loans and would actually be in a kind of dovish mode, an easy mode, and that was well received. So we had a lot of drama, and so far, as of today, we are a bit more relaxed because, the latest developments have been rather positive.
So it's the calm after the storm, but how would you say the currencies have reacted?
Yeah, once again, Draghi has had still a bit of golden touch because he tried to push the euro down, and so far, we're talking about a 2 days horizon, so we're not talking about a longer horizon, but so far there's been some impact. So it looks like it was okay. Mr. Kuroda, on the other hand, I don't know if we have a chart, tried to push the yen down. This is obviously dollar versus yen, and actually, the reaction was the opposite. So it's like if he had scored against his own team, so to speak. So that was not the most brilliant move as far as BOJ was concerned. But once again, this was the past. As of today, the mood is a bit more relaxed, I would say.
Great. And in your opinion, what's next for central banks? What's next for Janet Yellen and the Federal Reserve?
Yeah, I think really what we have, the market is moving probably from one frame of mind or from model to another one. What we had, and that's why I've put that with a green background, we had a very easy policy from all central banks, obviously exemplified by smiling Mr. Draghi, that was really, providing more liquidity, increasing purchases, asset purchases. So that was very easy, that was very risk-friendly. And obviously investors had been prompted to take more risk. So it was good for credit bonds, it was good for growth stocks, high PE stocks, for instance, IT and everything. But I've put Mrs. Yellen with a more stern message, saying, time marches on, the cycle moves on, we have to normalize rates, capital will cost more. So it means that banks, investors will have to be more selective, we'll have to be more discriminating, more cautious. So probably we have to look at what's cheaper, what has been maybe a bit undervalued or under pressure, and it will probably, it's not, I did not put a red background or anything, and it's not a bad environment, but it's probably a more discriminating environment. And that's also because Mrs. Yellen and the US rate cycle is telling us that we have to be more selective in our investment. So I've just put a few ideas, and but probably we'll go on the short term, we'll go back and forth, on the very, very short term, because there won't be any, if I'm not mistaken, there won't be until mid-March, there won't be major meetings, major statements, so probably we have time to adjust. But I think we will move from smiling Mr. Draghi to a more stern Mrs. Yellen, I'm sorry to say.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for coming in today and giving your insights.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Well, that's all from us, but for all the latest Dukascopy updates and exclusive interviews, do keep clicking back. Goodbye for now.